Chris, is it hot enough
This
for
meeting
you?
is being
Oh,
recorded.
man. It is hot.
My car said 107 coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas. It feels about 115.
Yeah, it's not, I usually wear a coat and tie, you know, and it's like, it's 105 out there now, and it's, yeah, no,
101 in Tucson.
yeah,
I'm
No
jealous.
way.
it's stupid. We got a little cloud just come over, and we may get a little rain, so if I disappear, I get struck by lightning.
Well, I
Oh
guess
my
it's
goodness.
cold in Florida. We're only at 90.
73 in San Diego.
Well, and they're
I'm like-
saying the heat index could be up to like 117 this week.
Holy smokes.
82 in Ohio.
60s in Virginia, but it's pouring.
Wow.
70 in New York,
Nice.
No,
downstate.
I thought it was hot at 81 in Canada.
90 in Iowa.
99 degrees feels like 115 in Austin.
You know what? I want the
Wow.
105-degree weather because that justifies me going to a beach.
It's 64 here in Jasper.
Speak up.
There you go. 64.
I like it.
Like
Okay.
like
When-
101 in the Keys, but with humidity. I don't even want to know what it feels like.
Can you get
outside.
me? Oh no, I got my own.
Like
Guys,
walking
how's
through
it going?
Hey, Nicole.
Nicole.
Nicole,
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
somebody get Carrie what she wants.
What she wants? I got coffee. I just got coffee.
I'm not touching that. Nope.
Special speaker, or is that in a different room?
It's here.
You know what?
It's right here.
It's in here.
And like all our other podcasts, this is only going to record audio.
Thank you, John.
Can I ask one of my sober
Dang.
sisters to look in the participants list for Miss Rachel H and reach out to her? She seems like she's having a rough time.
Yes, ma'am, or sir.
Oh, close enough. I got nice hair, so I'm not offended.
She's having a rough time. Seem like she gotta go to the doctor for her situation.
Mm.
All right, so Rachel H here. Gratefully recovering alcoholic, 7.5 years. I've been through losses. I've been through assaults. I've been through all kinds of shit. And at 42 was diagnosed bipolar after being taken to the hospital. I have since been on medicine, working full time. I'm getting my stuff together. I'm getting my finances together. Everything's going great. And then bam, a trigger, and it just like takes the bottom out of the floor. And that's why I'm here. And I thank you guys. I know I'm a little jacked up from the crack up, but I love these meetings. I love AA. And I'm going to sit back and listen. And I thank you guys. so much.
Rachel, can you give us a very general idea what's the matter? Just general, no details.
Basically, my family, my son, after a traumatic episode with my son, not legally, his dad and I and stepmom decided he was going to go live with his dad. Well, we're now making plans for Thanksgiving and Christmas breaks and these and that and whatever. And instead of including me in the plans with my son, I have been told, you can come to this or you can go here or whatever. And it's like, I've been working my ass off to stay sober, to stay well, to stay. And it's like, I've been white knuckling the shit out of life. And so I called my sponsor and she goes, Rachel, we've done the steps twice. Do we need to go a third time? And so I think that's what we're going to do, y'all, is we're just going to start over.
Hey, Rachel, it's only June. Thanksgiving is in November. Christmas is
Yeah, I
in
know.
December. So
I know.
No, I know you know, but miracles happen. And you got to stay sober. If you drink, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I can tell you that that's probably, I mean, the last time I was tempted to do it, I went to the gas station and had a big old bottle when my son kicked out my windshield going 70 down the freeway.
How old is your son? How old is your son?
9. And he has oppositional, defiant, and explosive anger. And so that episode, it was 2 months ago, and I'm still kind of wheeling off of that and coming from that. But if I didn't drink that night after taking him to his dad's, and I'm not gonna drink, but it's like I'm at home by myself and there's shit here. There's stuff here.
It's Judy. Sometimes, you see us.
Rachel, I put my number in the chat for you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be quiet now. This is not my meeting. It's not all about me. So I love you guys. I'm going to shut up.
Right, Rachel. Glad you're here.
Yeah, we're glad you're here. Stick around for the speaker. It's going to be
good looking out, Eddie.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here, Rachel.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just like call you out like that. I just saw you in pain. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna...
Eddie, good looking out, Eddie.
Eddie, I don't know you, but I know that the people around these meetings, whatever they do, it's genuine love, and I appreciate it. And you don't have to apologize for shit to me. So
it was good looking out.
I appreciate it 100%.
Love you, Rachel. Stay up.
I just want to say too, you know, as a mother, any day you stay sober, you're being a good mom, whether your kid's with you or not. That's being a good mom.
I needed that.
You're doing it. You're doing it every moment. And from someone that knows that struggles with bipolar, just know that you're inside that dark cave right now, but on the outside of that cave, there's that light, girl.
Whoa.
So you're inside that dark cave and you're deep down in there right now, but know that on the outside of that cave is light. So it's, I know you're down in there right now, but know that outside the cave there's light.
Thank you so much.
Don't dwell on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, also usually when it hits like this, on the other side is like the real rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta make it through the thunderstorm and the hurricane to see the rainbow.
Had a basement, y'all. That bottom, when you hit rock bottom 7 years ago, when I thought I hit my bottom, dude, there was a basement to that bottom, and I realized that my foundation was being neglected.
Actually, Rachel, what I would suggest is check out our emotional sobriety and relapse prevention podcast.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. I will check that out. I really
emotional
do.
sobriety and relapse prevention.
Possible is great. So thank you.
3
John?
minutes to the meeting. 3
Yes.
minutes.
John,
Yes.
my connection's bad. I'm gonna go out and come back in, so co-host me, okay?
All right.
Okay.
And
mine-
pray, Rachel. Pray to your higher power.
Yeah.
What in the fuck is going on?
2 minutes to the meeting. 2 minutes to the meeting.
Mindfulness breathing. Go on YouTube. Look up mindfulness breathing. And to start off, I know this sounds really crazy, but look up mindfulness breathing for kids. And that's a great way for people that don't do it to like start off and get into it.
That's great advice.
I was gonna ask anybody if needed
I taught for
co-host.
12 years,
There's like
and
a million of them.
I did mindfulness breathing with my students. I have a master's degree. I taught this stuff. I did
Hey,
yoga with my
2
students.
minutes, y'all. Let's.
A minute and a half.
Hey, me,
All right.
Love you guys. Let's
Yeah.
have a good meeting.
All right.
Amanda, what's up, Amanda?
Yeah.
Oh, I accidentally raised my hand. That's what was up.
Okay.
That's all.
Right, get some people in here, guys. I got a download
Hi,
saying
Rosie.
that we were gonna get 200 people. I don't want to lose my dollar.
You look so nice all dressed up.
They're always dressed up.
There's some people in here, guys. I bet $1 that we were gonna have over 200 people in here.
Oh, I think we will. Just everyone joins right at
I can't
right
afford
at
to
the
lose
top of
my
the
$1.
hour.
Can't afford to lose $1.
2 minutes. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Your pardon.
1 minute. Who's that with that TV on?
I better start calling people, John.
What's that, Alicia?
I said I better start calling
don't-
people.
Just do it.
Have a great meeting, everyone. Let's get inspired.
Yeah.
All right, it is
Let's
5
go.
o'clock Eastern. Gonna mute everyone's microphone. You'll have to, yeah. And please minimize the chat conversations while Chris is talking. Hello, everyone. My name is John, and I am an alcoholic. Welcome to the Zoo Cruise, a checkup from the neck of beginners literature and step meeting. Let's start getting our minds right with a moment of silence to reflect on why we are here, followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I have just put the preamble in the chat. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're glad you're here. We welcome newcomers and encourage them to share, because a burden shared is halved and a joy shared is doubled. If you're all about carrying the message and not the mess, then you're in the right place. If you're a drunk or have been drinking today, please stay and talk to us after the meeting, but don't raise your hand to share during the meeting. We are happy to have you here, making this a huge deposit into your IRA, your individual recovery account, by being here and participating. Stick and stay with us. Go to our website at thezooCrew.org and watch the chat for important information. And the info is in the chat right now. We have a men's and women's phone list to help you get a sponsor or a sponsee or sober support. And a sponsor is a guide, a mentor, or a friend who takes you through the 12 steps and helps you in sobriety. We need service members to host this meeting. Actually, we have an opening. On next Wednesday, this meeting is open. So if you want to host this fantastic meeting on Wednesdays at 5 p.m., let Nicole know, please. And even if you're not trained, we will train you. Info is in the chat and on our website. We meet 7 days a week. We have different formats on different days. And we're also open 24 hours. We are open 24 hours in this room. Wednesday is normally steps 1, 2, 3, and 10, 11, and 12, so that we can get people to stop doing the 1, 2, 3 shuffle. But we have a guest speaker today. We have Mr. Chris R. from Texas. Without any further ado, we're gonna get Chris to tell us what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now, and plus share some more great stuff with us. So Chris R., please.
Thank you very much, John. My name is Chris Raymer. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic. And what a nice bunch. Gee whiz, I'm gonna have to save this little location. I got a list of good Zooms I give to the little, I work in treatment industry, and I give these little lists to some of these cats and that are interested. And I'm gonna stick this one on there, man. You guys were doing it. So almost. So anyway, I'm in Ingram, Texas. I don't know if y'all know where San Antonio. We're about 60 miles northwest of San Antonio, up in the hills. And I ended up growing up here and was away a long time and came back a bunch of years ago, and I'll die here. It's a great little place, and I'm awful grateful to be here. Ingram Solution Group's my home group, and I finally got sober November 13th, 1987, and I'm forever grateful for that date. anytime I share, guys, I'm watching the clock, guys. I got you. I'm about 30 minutes, I think, and I don't want to go over. Anytime I share, but I try to make a clear point, make sure that y'all know, I'm going to try to share my experience. My experience absolutely may be different than your experience. It's one of the cool things about Zoom. When we got in here, we started getting to see, people from meetings all over the world, and it's the truth. I mean, AA is different in different parts of the world. If what you're doing is working, then that's great. The last thing I'm doing is up here telling you how to do it. I just share my experience. I was one of those guys that nearly died at sitting in Alcoholics Anonymous. And, it's just absolutely crazy. My father was an alcoholic. He was the nicest, sweetest guy you'd ever come across. And my twin brother and I caught the bullet. There's genetics plays a part of this, guys, without question. And just not my opinion. That's just a fact. And you can look up my family tree on both sides of my family and see little alcoholics everywhere. So we kind of came by it natural. And Pops moved us here to the hill country as soon as he could. And we was born out in West Texas, but I've got 2 sisters that have never had a problem with drinking. I watched my little sister get drunk, I think one time, and she said, I'm never going to do this again. And she didn't. It was pretty simple. And I was never able to do that. And, still to this day, she's a sweetheart and never had a problem. I was in high school, I guess it was January 1971, and buddy of mine had stolen a bottle of Boone's Farm apple wine. We went down the river right down here about 6-7 miles from where I'm at right now, and drank that bottle of Boone's Farm, and he didn't like it. He gave it to me, and I made sure he didn't want any more, and I drank it, and it wasn't a big old, just a little small bottle of wine. And but it's the first time I'd ever had enough in my system to change the way I feel, and it got me. It was the bomb. And I remember thinking that's why Dad drinks. And guys, I held it together pretty good for a long time. I got to tell you, there was a lot of long period of time as the illness continued to progress, and I'm never missing days work. I'm not getting in a bunch of trouble. I'm not doing anything stupid. Compared to some of y'all, I'm holding it together pretty good. And ended up going to Houston, Texas, and wanted to be a professional chef. I got a job at a big hotel, and guys, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay on the outside, it looks like, but on the inside, I'm not doing so well. I'm starting to battle this stuff called depression. Some of you guys, I think you can identify with this. Bill Wilson talks about it in the bedevilments in the second step. This depression, folks, started kicking my ass, and I'm seeing doctors on this stuff early on. This is late 70s, and I'm just anxious as I can be. I'm just not in a real good spot. And ended up getting married. And one of my geographical cures, I moved back to Houston and married this girl, and she was a sweetheart, guys. And I drug her up to North Texas to be closer to my twin brother. He was living in Dallas at the time, up near there. And came home one night. We bought a house, guys. I had a little, a newer old pickup truck. That's how that works. And I had a nice little job, and holding it together pretty well. And I'm miserable. It's not a happy camper. And of course, she's concerned, and came home one night, and this was the early 80s, folks. And I'd been doing some of them outside issues, and although my big problem was the alcohol, and she knew I drank, but she had no idea how much I was drinking. And came home, had a pushing match, and she let me back in the house a couple hours later. I come from a family, we don't do that. And she said, if you want to stay married to me, you're going to have to quit. And guys, I can't share my story, any of this, without saying it. When I looked her in the face and told her that I was going to stop, I meant it with every fiber in my body. It makes me crazy sometimes, folks, because you listen to some of these old timers and they always want to, if an alcoholic's mouth moving, he's lying. It's just not my experience, guys. We've got to, there's liars at the Elks Club. It's just, I don't think we got any more higher propensity in AA than we do anyplace else. When I said I was going to stop, I meant it. I didn't understand that I didn't have the power to manage that decision to stay stopped. If I could stop because I wanted to, just say, well, that's enough for me, I'm quit. I'm not an alcoholic. Bill Wilson spends 3 places in the book. I mean, over and over, he talks about different types of drinkers, moderate drinkers, hard drinkers, but what about the real alcoholic? Guys, and if you've got the symptoms, he spends the first 60 pages talking about what an alcoholic looks like, culminating on page 44 with 2 questions, about choice and control. And I just like, who knew? I said I was going to quit. A week and a half later, I picked up a drink and that was it. And she was done. And I'm patting myself on the back because I didn't get drunk. She's mad because I didn't keep my word. I'd gone to Alcoholics Anonymous, guys, at that time when I was trying to save that marriage. And they were the nicest, sweetest people on earth. There were people that absolutely, I mean, it was okay. I was going to the meetings and I loved it. It was just nice. Listening to everybody share it. It was okay. And I was up in North Texas at the time, folks, and I didn't have a big book, and neither did they. And we weren't talking about anything but your problem. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm trying to figure out why I can't stop drinking. And we're not going to cover that. Don't have a sponsor. I'm in and out. I go to different meetings up in North Texas. I got 2 or 3 meetings I go to, and they're all a little different complexion, and they're good. And a lot of people obviously staying sober in those meetings. I wasn't. I'm shy as I can be. I'm a nervous wreck. I'm walking in. I'm sitting there by myself. We get up. We do the Lord's Prayer. And they pat me on the ass and tell me to keep coming back, and that's it. And I'm crazy. And I'm never going to go back after a while, guys. I spent 7 years in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous. In 1987, I running through some financial problems, and I'm just disgusted with myself. I can't seem to put things together. I'm going to the meetings again, guys, all these years, and everybody wants to talk about all the, the bad things they're doing, the drama and stuff. And I can't relate to any of that. I'm not being arrested. I'm not doing anything crazy. We scare away a lot of people by doing that, folks. I think this is my opinion, guys, but I mean, I think our stories, if I'm going to share my story, I'm going to use a little thing called discernment. If I'm talking to a bunch of kids, I can talk one way. If I'm talking to a bunch of professionals, I can talk one way. But, I have never once in all my years of sobriety, I've never had anybody email me, and I'll put my email in the little chat down here. Nobody's ever emailed me, not any one of those times, and said, "Oh, Chris, I heard you talking about eating out of a dumpster and I stopped drinking." It's never happened. I've had a billion emails from people that had a lot of the same experiences I had. We got to stop trying to scare people into recovery, folks. Yeah, if you're trying to identify, that's one thing. If you're trying to scare somebody, you don't want to end up like me, do you? Stop. Nobody ever thinks they're going to do any of that. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, I tried to commit suicide that night as I was done, and aborted that attempt. I believe God saved my little skinny butt. And I made a promise that night I'd go back to AA. And the next night I was running late at work. I couldn't get over to those old meetings I'd been going to where I knew everybody. And somebody showed me this other meeting, and I went to it. I'd never been to it, but I went to it, parked in the back so nobody would see me. And I'm trying to be anonymous, and how that goes. I walked in the back door, and this little old girl stopped me from leaving and got me a coffee cup and a paper towel to clean up the mess, and I'm detoxing in that room. But the chairperson that night looked at me. He'd seen me in North Texas, and that was the topic. He said, "Chris, let's tell Chris how our lives have changed as a result of working the steps." It's the first meeting I'd ever been into like that. It was every time I'd come back in, guys, it was, "Let's tell Chris how we got here." And I'd listen to your drunk driving charges again. I'd listen to all that happy horse. And it's like, okay. But this guy said, I don't know. If it had been anybody else chaired, I probably would have died. But they went around the room that night, folks. Those of you who heard me speak before, golly, they talked about getting their credit cards back, and they talked about lady across the table who got a car, and she held up her car keys, and there was a little guy sitting next to her that had started a little landscape business, and he was all excited about working for himself, and lady at the end of the table had gone back to art school, and she was all excited about that. And guy sitting next to me had a little billfold, had a little Polaroid pictures of his little rat kids, and he'd come to AA and got married, and he tears in his eyes, I think, folks, y'all understand, if they'd have told me about their drunk driving charges again, I'd have died, because I'd have just left. Here's more of the same. God was all over this, folks. They gave me the one thing I needed more than anything, which was hope. I didn't think I would ever be able to get anything different. And these guys are showing me that a different life can happen. I get criticizing emails from several folks every once in a while and want to talk about, well, you think these meetings just ought to be a pep rally. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. There's plenty of time to talk about the problem, folks. God dang, it's the finest fellowship on earth. You know, you come and you're hurting. I guarantee you there's a bunch of people that are going to get around you and help you no matter what you're going through. We're there for you. But we got to remember our main focus too, which is that alcoholic that's still suffering. That little knucklehead coming in that doesn't think this will work. These two old guys got me right after. I got to watch the clock. These two old guys got me right after we did the Lord's Prayer and we were heading out, and they literally stood between me and the door. And they said, Chris, if you can sit with us for a few minutes, maybe we can help you figure out why you can't stay sober.
Hey, Chris, excuse me 1 second.
Yeah.
Please do not worry about the clock. You have all meeting, Chris. Please go over 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm watching the clock. They had I don't want to wear y'all out. They sat me down at a table. They had big books. They asked me where my big book was. And I said, I don't have a big book. And I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm going to take full responsibility for that. I could have bought one, but nobody ever offered me one either. You know, nobody ever offered to sponsor me in all those years. I know I could have asked, but you know, I don't know why we always think that the newcomer knows what to ask. It freaks me out. Anyway, this old cowboy that stopped me, I'm a little indignant because I've got a psychiatrist. I'm on 7 prescription medications a day. I got lots of professionals trying to help me stay sober, folks. Been to treatment, y'all thought, yeah. And now this old country guy is gonna, with a big book with duct tape around the back, is gonna show me why I can't stay sober. I'm just incensed. And they sat me down and they started asking me some questions, folks. Hey, I'm gonna step on a few of you. We didn't start on the title page and start reading. Everybody does that. There's not one place in the book that it says do that. It needs to be read. They asked me to read the book. If I get a copy, they hooked me up with a copy. They cherry picked. They asked me some questions about whether or not I was an alcoholic or an addict or not. Simple. Physical craving and the doctor's opinion. And from 23 to 43, they talked about the mental obsession. Guys, they hit on this sentence on page 24 about we have lost the power of choice and drink. And it's like, I'd never heard that. I'd heard people talk about being powerless, but nobody had ever. That was always about people and places and things. Nobody ever talked about being powerless. Like, it's a disease, folks. We're born this way. And our drama and the trauma exacerbates the daylights out of it, makes it worse. Good God, thank God for some good therapy that can help us get through that stuff. But the only solution for alcoholism that I know of, Lord knows, and being in the industry, I would absolutely know if there was another way. It's the 12 steps. When you actually do the work. And 7 years and I'd never done the work. And this old guy said, Chris, if you'll work the steps with us quick, we'll get you a sponsor. If you'll work with us, I can promise you your life will change. Guys, I got to tell you, I went home that night, crying with tears in my eyes because I knew for the first time what was wrong with me. I didn't have all these psychiatric disorders. That's my story, guys. What I had was untreated alcoholism. I was a mess. But I finally understood what was wrong with me. And I went back up there next morning and these guys says, come on, Chris, let us show you. We got ambulances out here. He says, we got to show you how to make a pot of coffee. I don't drink coffee. You make your own. No, come on, help us make coffee. They showed me how to make a pot of coffee and they said, no, sit up here with us and help us chair this meeting. It's Saturday morning meeting. Now, y'all understand, I'm detoxing. I'm back in one day and they got me busy in that group. It's key. We finished that meeting, then we went in the back room. We chased some Al-Anon folks out of their room and we got on our knees. There was 3 of us and we did a little 3rd step prayer. They bought me lunch. We went over to a little Mexican restaurant across the street and we went and got some lunch and came back and they had a little notebook, one of those little Mead, rule line notebooks. And they said, come on, let's start working on your 4th step. Let me show you how to do that. Y'all got it? Some of y'all are looking like I just slapped you. Folks, we're killing people in Alcoholics Anonymous by taking them through the steps too slowly. There's not any place in here that says do that. It says we can't jam it down anybody's throat. You can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. I got you. I'm not going to do that. But guys, come on, you got to. I'm working on a 4-step, folks. I've got a completed 4-step. I'm ready to do a 5th step. I'll never forget. It was a Friday night. I got out of my truck up in my little raggedy apartment, and I'm sitting on the tailgate, and I'm looking around, and there's a 7-Eleven, a Stop and Go, places to buy booze all around me, folks, over there in Louisville, Texas. And it dawns on me that the obsession to use is lifted. Sometime in that 2-week period, as a result of getting off my butt and actually doing something other than sitting and complaining, something changed, and that obsession lifted. And folks, I got to tell you, it's never come back in 35 years. I've had some really good days in 35 years, and I've had some scary days in 35 years. The good news is this works when things are good, and this works when things are bad. I don't have to worry about a world full of triggers, folks, because I've recovered from alcoholism, seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. As a direct result, because a couple of old geezers helped me. I got to tell you real quick. This guy that same week came up to me, one of the guys that helped me that night, 12-stepped me there a little bit. And he said, Chris, we got a group conscience coming up in the next end of the week, end of the month. And says, we want you to come. So we want to nominate you as chairman of the cleanup committee. And I said, guys, I'm so not interested in that. Remember me? I literally took this desire chip out of my pocket, held it up at his face, and said, remember me, the most important person here, and now you want me to be your cleanup guy? No, I'm not. He said, come to the group conscience anyway. You wouldn't get it anyway. Don't worry about it. And I went to the group conscience. Y'all know what's going to happen. And they unanimously voted me in as chairman of the cleanup committee. I got less than 30 days of sobriety. And listen, I went in after the meeting, and this guy's got this smirk on his face, like, we got you, you smart ass. And yeah. And I said, listen, if I'm going to do this, I need a list of the other people in my committee so I can organize a cleaning rotation. Because I've been in the food business, I know how to clean a kitchen. And he spit coffee clear across the way. He says, Chris, there's no committee. You're the janitor at this group. He opened the door. Here's the closet. Here, meet Mr. Hoover. And it's like, oh man. And I stayed away for a couple of days. I wasn't going to go back. 6 o'clock meetings were my mainstay then. I wasn't going to go back. I'll show you. And on Friday, I let myself in. They gave me the keys to the place. And I went back in at about 1 o'clock, locked myself in the door. And I went in and I cleaned that club like a big dog. Y'all know the kind I'm talking, set those chairs up perfect, got all that brown stuff and the coffee pots out of the way, and those what is it about Club AA bathrooms? What? Just explain this to me. What? We should know better. Why are you dropping all that stuff on? I clean those bathrooms up like a big boy, and and I'm sitting in there. It's like 5:30, coffee's made, meeting starts at 6. I unlock the doors and I'm sitting in there waiting for the folks to come in. I hear this little lady come in. I always tell it, guys. I told it at Founders Day this year. I mean, this little lady walked in. She had to have been about 140 years old, at least, and she was about this tall. No, really, she was about 2 feet tall. No kidding. She's the smallest woman I ever knew. She sliding in there. You could hear her on the linoleum on the floor. You could hear her slide in the door. She's sliding in. I could hear her squealing in the other rooms, and she went, "Oh my God!" And she looked around the corner and she said, "Did you clean this place?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." I'm sitting there soaking wet, my little Fruit of the Loom t-shirt. And she walked around behind me, guys. I can't say it without wanting to cry. She walked around behind me and she got her little bony arm around my neck, gave me a little back hug, and she said, "Boy, we need you." Y'all got any idea how long it had been since anybody had said, "We need you to do anything besides leave here"? It's just like, "We need you to put your hand behind your back." I had that once. It's like, I'm less than 30 days away from a suicide attempt because I felt absolutely useless. And now you got this little lady telling me that they needed me. Folks, Bill Wilson wrote about it over and over and over. I want to read one thing to you. Bottom of page 14 in Bill's story, he said, my friend, this is when Ebby's working with him. Ebby come to see him. My friend had emphasized the absolute necessity of demonstrating these principles in all my affairs. Particularly was it imperative to work with others as he'd worked with me. Faith without work was dead, he said, and how appallingly true for the alcoholic, exclamation point. For if the alcoholic fails to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. If he did not work, he would surely drink again. If he drank, he would surely die. Then faith would be dead indeed. With us, it is just like that. Did y'all get it? We grow spiritually, folks. Bill Wilson uses the term over and over in the big book. Several places it talks about growing spiritually through work and self-sacrifice for others. And I got to tell you, folks, if there's one area that we've gotten away from in Alcoholics Anonymous, in lots of areas, it's that. I get people all the time, oh, I do 12-step work when I go to a meeting. Not unless you're getting off your butt helping somebody, you're not. I'm sorry, that's not 12-step work. That's unity. That's a part of a fellowship. That's the meeting. I don't know. These guys had me so busy it wasn't even funny. Trying to answer the phones when the phone, just anything I could do to be of service to that group, it would get me out of my head. I battled anxiety and self-pity all my life. I'm a little skinny one-eye guy from Texas with a blind in one eye. I mean, I can milk it better than anybody. And all of a sudden I get in there and I start realizing that I've got the power to actually help somebody. Problem is everybody doesn't think so. You got too many old bastards sitting in Alcoholics Anonymous telling you you're not sober long enough to help anybody. Well, see, Ebby's only a few weeks when he goes and finds Bill. Bill's only a few weeks when he goes to find Dr. Bob, 6 months sober, but he's been in the treatment center back in there where he detoxed helping others. This nowhere in the book does it say take your time or go slow or wait a year. We've got a lot of people sharing their own opinions. And I'm doing it now. I believe that's what's hurting us. I had a friend of mine, it's a soapbox of mine. I'm not going to get on it because I promised I wouldn't. But a friend of mine, she had 26 years of sobriety. When COVID hit, she stopped going to meetings and she ended up isolating. How many of y'all have watched that happen? I mean, oh my God. And she got loaded. She drank after all those years. She comes back into treatment. The first thing counselors, everybody wanted to tell her, well, you have to come back as a newcomer. You can't work with anybody till you've got some time under your belt again. That is absolute crap. My book says on the bottom of page 129, in those first days of convalescence, nothing will so much help you stay sober as intensive work with other alcoholics. It's like we're almost punishing our relapsers. What keeps us sober? Intensive work with other alcoholics. But we're going to tell you you can't do it because you relapse. Y'all see that? That's just ridiculous. Get out there and help, folks. That's how this thing works. It saved my life. I got to say it again. These old guys that got me, and they weren't a bunch of old guys, they was old and young, but they were all carrying big books and they all knew what they were talking about. And they just looked out for me, folks. I'm so grateful I landed in a room full of people that there was anybody telling me that I couldn't do anything. Nobody was there telling me you can't date for a year. Nobody's in there telling me you can't start a little business. Nobody was saying jack. They said, be careful and be transparent. Try to be honest and try to help others. You're going to be okay. Thank you. That other stuff is what makes us look cultish. I heard a lady the other day, the little girl's looking for a sponsor. I gave her a lady's name and she called me back. She said that lady won't sponsor me until I've gone to 90 meetings in 90 days. I'm looking, it's got to be in there. I know it's in this book somewhere to tell you to do that. It's not. Quit. Makes us look stupid. We set people up for failure that way. If I could stay sober 90 days without you, hell, why would I need you? Let's bring these folks in. I got to read you one thing because they gave me a little minute. And I can send this to you guys if you email me. I can't put it on here, but I can send you. Bill Wilson It's one of my favorite little Grapevine articles. Back in the day, the Grapevine was voracious. I mean, they printed some great big book stuff forever and ever. It got to a little place I wasn't a big fan of it. Every time it was just all about unicorns and butterflies and stuff. But back in the day, they wrote some good stuff. This was a Grapevine article in 1961. This was what, 10 years before Bill Wilson passed away. Okay, so he wrote this Grapevine article. It's called The Dilemma of No Faith. There's a bunch of great stuff in it. But one of the things Bill says in it, it's, though 300,000 did recover in the last 25 years, maybe 500,000 more have walked into our midst and then out again. Yet we can't well content ourselves with the view that all these recovery failures were entirely the fault of the newcomer themselves. Perhaps a great many didn't receive the kind and amount of sponsorship they so sorely needed. We didn't communicate when we might have done so, so we AAs failed them. Guilty. I've done that. I've done that. Sit there, go to a meeting and talk to all my peeps, my little guys and my little partners, my little posse, and ignore the little newcomer sitting against the wall, uncomfortable as hell. I got to tell you, my brother's voracious about it. He can go he'll go get him every time. If you're not talking to that little newcomer, buddy, there's a problem. Because that's what those old timers did to me. They didn't let me sit. You keep coming back, and I'm going to go sit by myself in a little apartment in my own head. It's no wonder we relapse. These guys wouldn't let me do it. Come on, let's go. First time anybody ever asked me to coffee was in that group. That first night. Chris, come on, have coffee with us. I owe them my life, folks. I sure watch a lot of people get well because somebody gave a hoot. Somebody cared. I got to say this real quick. The spiritual warfare, I talk about it a lot because I had a sponsor named Mark Houston that talked about it a lot. And my current sponsor, Gary, talks about it a lot. But the spiritual warfare is that little voice in your head that tells you that you can't help anybody. And it's bolstered up by that old geezer in the corner that's telling you that you can't help anybody because you're not sober long enough. My experience is this. Don't think you know for a second who God's going to use to help you or who you're going to help. Guys, every one of us have got the talent. Every one of us are going to help people that nobody else can help. I think because I know the big book in and out, I think I can help everybody. The truth is there's lots of people. I watch them in my group. They don't want me to sponsor them. They want that little 20-year-old kid over there with tattoos from head to foot, with piercings everywhere. And it's like, but that's that little kid speaking that kid's language. And the guys I sponsor are trained. If somebody asks you to sponsor them, I don't care how long you got sober. You say yes. And then come talk to me because your life's fixing to change. It's going to get real interesting. But once you do, that's what changed my life. I'm talking to a guy right now that's just struggling to feel the power in Alcoholics Anonymous. He wants to do it, working the steps. I said, buddy, when I felt it was when I first went and met a kid after a meeting that wanted to talk to me. He'd been a chef too, and he wanted to come and visit. And I'd said something in a meeting about it. Anyway, and we went down in front of a goddamn Waffle House and sat on my tailgate and talked about recovery for a few minutes. And I went home that night changed. Because I was only, a couple of months sober. But it was the first time I realized that there was actually something that I could do to help somebody else. I'll never forget it. And I'm so, again, grateful for the old timers that didn't dissuade me from doing that. Guys, I'd get in over my head all the time. And I'd go straight back to my sponsor, the elders in my group, and say, buddy, what do I do here? You got any ideas? Because I'm in over my head. And they'd come help me. I got to say this for sure. Some of y'all may have heard me talking about it. I was in March, I think. I was speaking at the South Carolina State Conference, and I've been there Friday night, a great old bunch of people, and I'm speaking Saturday, and I get up Saturday morning, just get up out of bed like 1,000 times, heading to the bathroom, and I get up and I fall on the floor. I can't get up. I've got vertigo so bad I can't. I know what it was now. It's all be inner ear stuff, and I understood, but at the time I had no idea what it was. And I laid on the floor I thought I was dying. I got to my phone and texted my host, the little guy that had been picking me up from the airport, was taking care of me. And he was there, and I mean, like that. And he contacted the other people on the committee. Obviously, I couldn't talk. I couldn't stand. So I couldn't stand at the podium. But they pulled every string they got. Any of you guys ever try to get a doctor's appointment? Yeah. These guys had me one in about 30 minutes. And I got in and got checked out. Ended up in the emergency room, had to get some procedure done. And they sat with me that whole day, making sure I was okay. Got me back, helped me pack up for the next day to get me back to the airport. I crawled through the airport. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I've never known in my entire life anywhere you could go and find the kind of love that you can find in Alcoholics Anonymous. No church, no organization, no service, no nothing can hold a candle to what happens in Alcoholics Anonymous on a daily basis. The miracles that take place. One alcoholic helping another alcoholic. It starts with sobriety. Once we get sober, guys, I'm going to tell you, people pitched in, people called and checked on me, people gave referrals to other doctors. Guys, I've been surrounded ever since. I'm much better, guys. The hard part got over in a few days, and I was better. I'm still going through some of that. I'm still experiencing a little bit. We're dealing with it, but I don't have to do it alone. I know God's got me. I know that. But I also know that I got a fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous that's there walking with me every inch of the way. I've watched it. When my dad died, folks, that church was full. And my mom's in there looking, and she says, who are all these people? And they were the people in Alcoholics Anonymous come there to support me and my twin brother. Y'all follow? People that didn't even know my dad were in there. That's what we do. We just bend over backwards trying to help each other. I just got to say it, guys. I am so in love with Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're heading in the right direction, guys. I got to say it again. If there was a pill out there that was fixing to fix this thing called alcoholism, if there was a therapeutic technique that was going to fix this problem, I'd be the first to be up there telling you about it. There's not. What I've worked in 30 years working in the industry, treatment business, doing clerical work. I work do clerical work. I make follow-up calls. Watching people, the people that are hooked up with bunches of knuckleheads like y'all, laughing their butts off, having a great time. They're the ones staying sober. Is it that simple? Yeah. I love therapy, guys. I'm a fan of medications. I'm not knocking any of that. Let's do what it takes. I'm with that. I'm also fans of going to the gym and eating correctly and not smoking. I got lots of, yeah. I'm a competitive cyclist, thanks to Alcoholics Anonymous, people in the rooms. Guys, it's about being happy. And if you're not happy and you're sitting in the room, do exactly what that nice lady did earlier. Let somebody know so we can gather around you and help you. I'm so grateful to be here, guys. Thank y'all for letting me come.
Right. So everybody on mute. Either you have a choice. Give Chris a round of applause, or
Thank you, amazing.
Or let him know how bored you were. You know,
Amazing.
Everybody can unmute.
I love Martinez.
Chris,
Amazing.
Oh my.
So much.
Amazing.
Chris, that was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Chris. God bless you.
Nobody was bored and fell asleep.
No,
Certainly not.
No.
One of the best speakers I've
I heard
heard.
Marquis first up.
I wish I could talk to Chris myself. They made me wait a whole year, Chris.
All right. Good.
Bless you,
And
Chris.
some of us survive it. It's okay. I just
What happened to the microphone? I got you.
You were the best.
I put my email in there.
Okay, Chris, you can unmute. Actually, we're gonna get and you guys have done a great job keeping out these Zoom bombers. And guys, we had a thing on Intergroup about Zoom bombers, and they were getting bombed. So you know it's been happening. Yeah. All right. So Alicia, get ready to have a time. We're gonna have 2-minute shares. But first, gonna do a pause for the cause, or also known as the Secretary's Report. We're gonna take a moment to promote our AA literature and let you know what's happening in the Zoo Crew community. The Big Book is our basic text and contains the full recipe for recovery. It is also loophole proof. It's impossible to find a loophole in the Big Book that excludes you from being a member of AA. You can read the Big Book, follow a simple set of directions, and get sober. It's really that simple. Visit our website at thezoocrew.org for meeting information, workshops, podcasts, phone lists, order Zoo Crew merchandise, get attendance verification, and also make a 7th tradition money contribution just by using your debit or credit card. Access our meetings from the website, the Zoo Crew website, and not from the apps. Last week, the apps were down a few days. So yeah, save our meeting ID and password in case the apps go down again. That info was in the chat. And we can take this off, but I'm gonna say it again. On Wednesday, today, June 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern, join us in welcoming internationally popular recovery speaker Chris R. from Texas. We had a great turnout, over 200 people. We capped off we maxed out at about 212. All right, we're also building up a Spotify recovery songs playlist. Send us an email with your favorites recovery songs. Cool. Info is on the website. And join, and here, Chris talked about it, guys. Join our new diet and exercise group on Telegram. Remember, this is a physical, spiritual, and mental disease. Info is on our website. We have over 50 people in there right now, and we just started this a few days ago. We are going cruising again in October. We had one in May, which was a great success. October 23rd, we're going cruising again. Info is on the website. Again, we're open 24 hours, and we have a few workshops coming up. This coming Sunday, we're doing a workshop on step 5. This past weekend, we did one on step 4. July 2nd, workshop on how to become, we're gonna repeat this one. How to become less of a people pleaser. We did that last month. People wanted it again. July 9th, workshop on setting and enforcing boundaries in your life. July 16th, the 12 steps in only 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern, based on the Back to Basics book hosted by Nicole S. July 19th, the 12 steps in 4 hours from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., where you actually take the 12 steps, and that is based on the Clarence Snyder Big Book sponsorship hosted by Cousin Jonathan. July 23rd, take steps 1, 2, and 3 today. That's a workshop. Find your higher power now. And join over 1,700 of us on Telegram. Telegram is a messaging app for your smartphone or computer. You never have to be alone. The Zoo Crew business meeting is this Sunday after the 11:30 a.m. meeting, June 25th. Give your sobriety a boost and join the service team. We will train you. Service team meeting this Saturday, June 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for being here, everybody. Now back. And so Alicia, again, 2-minute shares. Actually, 90-second shares, so we can get everybody in. Go ahead, Craig.
Hi, my name's Craig. I'm an alcoholic. Chris R., thank you so much. I heard Mark Houston mentioned. God bless you, sir. I listen to that man as much as I can. Rest in peace.
Good man. Oh, somebody put all the hands down. Put your hands back up. Come on, guys. Let me put the hands down. Let me take care of that. Heather, go ahead.
Hi, family. I'm Heather. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. Chris, thank you so much for speaking. I really appreciate your message. I am just 147 days clean and sober. And I had people tell me when I first got out of treatment, I was an inpatient for 80 days. And when I first got out, I got a sponsor and started working the steps. And I had people tell me when I was working on step 3, like, you're not ready for that step yet. And I said, okay, let me talk to my sponsor about that. And that's how I've been handling it. And I'm on step 9 now. And there's a lot of people who give me a little bit of crap about rushing through the steps, but I'm not. I'm being thorough, and I appreciate your message, and I love this group. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Come on in. All right, come on in, Jesse. Actually, Chris, do you want to comment on anything you heard?
Just real quick, I'm going to work the steps the rest of my life. And I go to groups where we read the literature and we study it. Guys, I'm just always finding something new and all that. But this is like triage early on, you know, and it's like we watch so many people, we come in and we just, you know, we don't work the steps with them and they relapse. And I don't know what happened. Maybe he just wasn't ready. It's like, you know, he was ready. I've got a little quick, little guide I use for first step, little question deal to do with a little newcomer to get them through that first step in that little quick setting, you know, 20 minutes, get them through there. And I can send it to you, just y'all holler. So bless you. Thank you for sharing.
Right, fantastic. Thank you, Chris. Okay, we have Jesse. Come on in, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse. I am an alcoholic. Chris, I am honored to hear you share what a positive and refreshing viewpoint on AA as a whole. I really appreciate it. I needed to hear it. I am 51 days sober. I've been in AA since January, relapsed twice, finished the steps in 48 days. I've been tossing around sponsorship, and I'm telling you, your share today, I needed to hear it because I know that I can help people. I hesitate in putting my hand up when it comes to being a sponsor, but I know that I have it in me. I have the big book in me. I have the program in me, and I needed to hear that. And thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I got.
Go
Right,
get him. Go get him.
Go ahead, Peter.
Hi, I'm a recovered alcoholic. My name is Peter.
Peter.
Chris, I could really identify with your story. You know, you talked about the time period in the 70s and 80s, and you talked about, I guess where you're from is like 60 miles northwest of San Antonio. And I'm just curious, are you anywhere near Wimberley?
We're just kind of a little south of there, a little bit further west. Yeah.
Your story was powerful. Thank you very much for sharing. That's all.
Thanks for coming.
Righty. I'm not sure who this person is. Lenora? Go ahead.
Hey. Chris, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with the Zoo Crew today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And just on a personal note, I want to tell you thank you for the part that you've played in my sobriety. I have notes in my big book of Chris said this and Chris said this. And I'll never forget the first day that I saw you at rehab. I remember thinking, I want what he has. Just your zest for life and your hope and your joy. I just thought, I want that. And I'm so grateful to you and your message of hope, because working the steps, getting a sponsor, surrendering and being of service, it does bring you a life of being happy, joyful, and free. And I am so grateful. So thank you for your message. And thank you for your time, Chris. I love you.
Thank you, buddy. Stay in touch.
I will.
Right. So everybody, Miss Lenora is the one who set this up for us. And we set this up in about a week. Last Monday or Tuesday is when we started working on this. Thank you. Right. Go ahead, Leslie.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for that, Chris. I'm both new to AA, but very experienced with AA. And I just wanted to speak to your comments about service, because I got sober from intermittent binge drinking back in 2001. Didn't work in an AA program, but went to volunteer at a program for men just out of prison, where I was my literature the day I started working as a facilitator for their group in conflict resolution through effective communication. I was given a big book, an NA big book, 12 and 12, and several other inspirational books specifically for people just out of prison. And I did that and stayed sober for 20 years. Then COVID hit.
30 seconds.
And they stopped volunteers coming into the building. I had my parents aging, becoming ill. I had to travel to the UK frequently to take care of them. And the end result was that I relapsed over the holidays. So this time I'm working an AA program, but I believe that the value of my service to the addicts and alcoholics from prison unwittingly kept me sober all those
Sorry,
years.
that's time.
Thank you.
There's no doubt, Leslie, it's service is the foundation stone of this whole thing. Dr. Bob said love and service. If you can't do it in AA, do it someplace else. But we're gonna give back, or we're not gonna stay sober. Bless you. Jump back in that trench.
Absolutely. Go ahead, cousin. Come on in, cousin.
Good afternoon, family. I'm Jonathan. I'm an alcoholic. Everybody that's new to our movement. Thank you so much for your message. And thank you for confirming, this journey that I'm on. And yeah, we can recover very quickly in this program. Follow a simple set of directions, man. Join a home group, get a sponsor, take the steps, and start working with somebody else. Now, I knew that I wasn't crazy when I sat down with that guy with 6 days and took him through the steps, And some people thought something's wrong with me. No, it's not nothing wrong with me. It's something that I'm trying to get right. And I too, yeah, I don't bullshit. Step 1 and 2, we spend about 20 or 30 minutes there. People have sat down with me. And we get right to the ABC.
30 seconds.
Take our inventory and start moving on with the program. And that's just how it was done for me. So that's how I do it, man. And I love it. I love working with other alcoholics. I enjoy it. I need it. Nothing better than sitting down. I'm out looking for alcoholics and drug addicts. Who would have thought the day would come? Thank you so much.
Nobody. Right. Shannon, come on in, Shannon.
I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Chris. I just wanted to say it was nice to hear somebody that has been sober probably about the same amount of time that I have. And I remember those old days. Dave told me one day, he said, "You're going to wash the ashtrays." I said, "Why the hell I got to wash the ashtrays?" And Dave says, "Because I told you so." I got sober around them same kind of minded guys. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Glad you're still with us.
Lisa P. Come on in, Lisa P.
Hey, family. I'm Lisa. I'm an alcoholic and addict. Thank you so much, Chris, for that. I was listening, and you actually got me to get up off my butt and vacuum at the same time, so I missed a little bit of it. I've been sitting here all day. I've been working hard the last 5 days and tired and just wanting to get up and do something and hadn't. So when you started talking about cleaning, I got up and did it. But I tell you what, I've been in here since December. And I'm back on day 5. I had 52 days is the longest I've had. And it's because of the steps. And I just shared this with the group yesterday. I had a sponsor that for months and months dragged things along. And when she asked me what step I was on, I said, I figured you would tell. And she says, "This is your program, Lisa. You're supposed to tell me." Well, I didn't understand how that worked. And I was new. I didn't know how everything works. I thought she was supposed to guide me through. So we never got any steps done together.
30 seconds.
Okay, thanks. My next sponsor, worked a lot. Well, I've got a new sponsor and we will definitely be getting to the steps soon, or I will get through the steps somehow, because this is life and death. And I want to keep my sobriety. I don't want to keep doing the 1, 2, 3 shuffle. I don't want to keep doing the nothing shuffle and coming in and out of here. So thank you for that. I was thinking maybe I wasn't ready yet, but definitely I'm going to make it an urgency to get to my steps. That's all I have. Thanks, guys.
Go get them.
Regina, you sound like a cheerleader, Chris.
I am.
No.
Yeah, yes, indeed, a cheerleader. So inspiring, so encouraging. Thank you so much for that wonderful shared lead that you gave me. It brought me back to the St. Francis prayer, where it speaks about by forgetting about yourself and serving others. You know, by giving, you awaken. I mean, to give and to serve and to love, pretty much, is the way that you can enjoy your life, because that's where you find love, by service for others. And I found that out through the Zoo Crew. They invited me 300 and something days ago to serve. You know, John said, when are you going to join the service team? And and I was like, okay, like the lady said to you, we need you, you know? And so
30 seconds.
That was encouraging. I had to say thank you, this moment in time. And thank you for this opportunity to say thank you for your service. Continue to be a blessing. Love you.
Bless you, bless you.
Right, Alicia, our timer on it.
Hi, I'm Alicia. I'm an alcoholic addict. And I have to say that I experienced some of the things you were talking about right here in the Zoo Crew. When I came in, I was told I was family. And I was told that I could time. And I timed like every single meeting all day long. And I felt like I was home for the very first time in a very long time. And I was told that I was somebody's little sister. And I was told that I was doing a good job and that I belonged, and I was told so many things, and I felt so good about myself. And I've told this before in my story, but I could hardly get out of bed when I came to the Zoo Crew. And now today I walked a mile, and I've come such a long way. And I know it has to do with the Zoo Crew and the AA that I've been doing, working my program. And it just has to do about how the leaders of this group work this program, and how they work it for the newcomer, and not just the newcomer, but people who just need to work their program. So thank you so much, everyone.
Right, fantastic, thank you. So again, join some of us in the exercise and sobriety group on Telegram. Info is in the chat, link is in the chat. Come on in, Dave.
Thanks, John. Thank you, everybody. Hi, my name is Dave and I'm an alcoholic. Chris, thank you so much for coming to the zoo and sharing your experience, strength, and hope with us. I agree wholeheartedly, as I believe most of us do, that the urgency of getting started on an inventory. Steps 1, 2, and 3 should not take forever. You know, so I experience often a lot of the guys that I try to work with. They want some more solidity as far as steps 1, 2, and 3. Talking about it and saying a third step prayer just doesn't seem to be enough sometimes. Some guys want to do some paperwork or want to officially graduate, so to speak, through the steps. And I was wondering how you deal with that if you run into that, and if so, how you deal with it. If you have worksheets or any sort of these guys want to write sometimes. So I wanted to know how you deal with that.
I have tons of that stuff. If they want it, I'm going to give it to them, but I'm going to dissuade them. Anything that slows them down from getting to step 12, so we can go help another little alcoholic, is I'm not going to jam them, folks. But I mean, you know, a few weeks into this, if they're not talking to me about sponsorship, we're going to have a conversation. And it doesn't have to be just sponsorship; it can be just about working with others. What, you got a job at the club? You know, you emptying trash or making coffee or doing something for somebody, trying to help them. And we don't have to wait to get them there. As soon as we can get them involved, just exactly what Lisa said a minute ago. You know, you get involved in one little thing, and all of a sudden you're here. You know, we never feel apart until we're actually doing something. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm sure it's working. Rock on. And then bombers, it's nothing else.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And also, you know, with Dave, so I put something in the chat, page 263. Point that out to them. And if they want to do it their way, you know, they can show you in the big book where it says to do writing before step 4. And if they want to do it their way, tell them to get somebody else too. You know, Go ahead, Tracy.
Sorry, I was reading what you had in the chat. So I'm very new to this. I'm a little over 2 weeks, and I'm like wanting to take that step of getting a sponsor.
Tracy, you got muted. Maybe you had a call come in.
Sorry, I'm back. Am I here? Can you hear
Yes.
me? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So I just ordered the big book. I've been like reading about little excerpts online and things, but I actually ordered the official big book now. But very hesitant to go to meetings in person. I live in a very small town. We're talking like it's an island. And I'm a teacher. So I'm very hesitant to go to meetings in person, and I want to find a sponsor, and I'm not really sure how to do it. And like you said, like there's not like a rule book. Like, how do I go about asking someone? Like, how do I do that? Any tips, suggestions? Guess that's my question to you. And you were so enlightening that I literally ordered the big book while you were speaking. So thank you so much for coming and talking to us today.
Oh, bless you. Keep doing it. I can tell you, you're on a group right here. There's a bunch of people on here that can help you. I love Zooms. I got to tell you, I love being in person. I'm fixing to head out to an in-person meeting. But you can find as much passion, as much love, as much, you can do the same thing here. Trust me, just stay in touch, keep our emails.
And also at every meeting, we mention the phone list.
Mhm.
And in the phone list, we tell you, suggestions, come early to a meeting, stay after the meeting, and let the group know you're looking for a sponsor. But that list for the woman has, yeah. So the email information is in the chat. I'm John, and I am an alcoholic. Chris, my sobriety date is September 13th of 82, and I'll have 41 years in September.
Look at that.
So I remember, nowadays, people want to be coddled. You hurt my feelings. Back then it was shut up and don't say anything. So yeah, it doesn't have to be quite that harsh, but you cut somebody off who's sharing a mess. Somebody with 2 weeks or 2 days says, they have a right to talk. Nowadays people want to be coddled. And people, like you said, people are dying from this disease. People are dying from this disease. So what you did, Chris, was reaffirm everything we talk about in the Zoo Crew. Have that sense of urgency, because this is life and death. That's what we talk about. Not rushing through anything. Let's have that sense of urgency. How soon do you want to be happy, joyous, and free? And we suggest to people that they can get into service, that they get into service. You can get into service with 1 day. 1 day you can get into service. And you want to have this thing become a way of life sooner than later. Yeah, it's about action and not just talk. So I would love to show you our chip system, the way we do the chips, but we're not going to get into that.
I'll come back and visit, trust me.
I appreciate that, Chris. And I just sent you an email as well. I saw you about 1.5 years ago with Tom. Tom and somebody stop. Please let me take care of the recording. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna get to Tupper, and then you can give a, and end it with us. Yes. Go ahead, Tupper.
Hey, all, Tupper, alcoholic. Couple quick things for Chris. Second time I've heard you. You do pretty good sharing so infrequently. Two things I noted. Well, one thing I noticed is you're from Texas. We all got that. But your email is Yahoo, which I really appreciate. But the biggest thing is for all the members of this Zoo Crew, and there's a lot of people who have been coming to this room for a long time. I think your message tells us all to giddy up, get on out there and do it. So I really heard that loud and clear. Thank you.
Yay.
All right, Chris, any last things you want to say before we close the meeting with the Lord's Prayer?
Just guys, y'all stay in touch with each other and you stay in touch with me. If you need anything, you come on, this works. I love y'all.
Fantastic. We're gonna close it out, Joel, and then we'll have fellowship. Our next meeting is at 7 p.m. So you're free to join us as well, Chris. So let's have a moment of silence to reflect on what we did here today, followed by the Lord's Prayer. Who helps us become happy, joyous, and free sooner than later? Our Father.
Our Father.
Art in heaven.
I am responsible
Hallowed
for
be
any
thy
time
name.
anyone reaches out
Kingdom
with the
come,
hand of AA to be there
will
for
be
them. I'm
done.
responsible.
Earth as
On earth as it is in heaven.
give us this day our daily bread.
Give us our
And forgive
trespasses,
us our
as we forgive
trespasses
those
as
who
we forgive
trespass
those
against
who
us.
trespass
Lead
against
us not
Lead us not into
us
temptation,
not
deliver us
into
from
but deliver us
temptation,
from evil.
deliver us from
Thine is the
evil.
kingdom, the
Thine is the
power,
kingdom,
the glory,
power, and the
forever and
glory
ever.
forever.
Amen.
Amen.
God's will and not mine be done.
Keep coming back.
Work
Right,
it if
Joel,
you're worth it.
come on in, Joel.
worth it. Amazing meeting.
What do you want to say, Joel? Joel.
I just wanted to say God bless everybody, whatever your God is. Thank you, Chris. That was refreshing, inspiring, what I needed to hear today. And I'm so glad I found this group, and thank you everyone for being here, and just keep being strong, everybody.
Thanks, Joel.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thanks for being
Yeah.
here, man.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Thank you
Thank you.
very
I
much,
wanted
Chris.
to share, but I didn't. Real quick,
So,
Chris,
Chris, you,
I wanted to say how much I love how much you pointed out the stuff that's not in the big book. I really appreciated that part of your share. I just wanted to say I've been doing that a lot here lately. Like, where in the big book does it say you have to wait 90 days? Where in the big book? So I appreciate that. That was my favorite part. Thank you.
Agreed. Agreed.
so Chris, you ride a road bike? You're a road biker?
Yeah.
I am too. I started in 2014.
Yeah.
I just ride 10, 20 miles. That's it.
Well, I used to do more. We did 42 Sunday morning, but it's so hot. It's just like, who knew I was going to get old? I mean, somebody warned me. You know?
You're quite an inspiration, Chris. Thank you so very much.
Well,
Yeah, very inspirational.
Hope you stick close.
Chris, when did Mark Houston pass away?
2010.
I found his speaker meetings and I have them downloaded and I've listened to them so many times and I'm going to wear the digital copy out. He speaks to me so much. So amazed that he was your sponsor.
He wrote a couple of really good things. If you email me, just say Mark Houston, I'll send them to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Is your email in the chat?
Yeah, email's in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the first time that I was sober, they made me wait a year before I could sponsor anybody and all of that also.
And it's okay for some. Again, you've got a thing called progression. We can't tell by looking at you how far the illness has progressed, but that little window of opportunity is really narrow for some people. Some people can just show up to meetings and that's okay. But the illness continues to progress. If I relapsed today, my illness would not pick up where it left off. I'm 35 years downstream. That's why we got so many people with long-term sobriety that can't get back because the illness it's hard, so much harder. So if you got any sobriety, hang on to it because everybody thinks, well, I can always come back.
Oh.
So back in the 80s, we used to say, our disease is out there in the parking lot. That's in the 80s, guys. My disease right now has a personal trainer, is doing MMA, and is on steroids and HGH.
Right.
It's pretty whether or not I drink.
Facts.
Chris's email is in the chat again for anyone. And he does respond and pretty timely too.
So I guess I'll be working the steps the rest of my life, Chris.
We all
Imagine
will.
It
Imagine
seems to be
that.
working. Yeah.
You're,
It
you're
works.
cured, you're cured at
works.
41 years. At 41, you're cured.
No, you're not.
Oh.
Yes,
Chris,
indeed,
how did you
of course.
become nationally known? How do you get on that speaker circuit tour?
You piss God off.
Aha! Can't be really unsober, okay?
It's lovely when you get you get to meet so many wonderful people, guys that are part of your life. I mean, it's just the coolest, but travel's a bear. I got to tell you, it's especially since COVID. Any of y'all travel since COVID? I mean, it's spending the night in the airport at 40 years old was kind of an adventure. Spending the night in the airport it's almost 70 is not fun at all.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
At
God bless.
32,
I just got done
no thank
traveling
you.
for work, so I feel you.
Yeah. Yeah. We
But
just
here's what you can do. Find a conference or convention near you. Talk to whoever's hosting it, and see if you can be a speaker there and start there. I think there may have been a website. I don't remember, but start there, local.
Yeah. Yeah. Once if you spoke someplace that would record it, and then the recordings would get out there, and then people would call you from that. The tapers were the gatekeepers of speakers. And so, when I stopped dropping F-bombs every other word, people started asking me to speak at larger venues. No, but you live and learn. Some nice little lady had a conversation with me about that one night.
Yes, they say no one will be offended if you don't curse at this meeting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
My original home group was the Little River group in Miami. Chris, Little River Rap forever.
Well, I'm gonna log off, but thank you, Chris. Thank you, John, and thank you everyone for a great meeting.
Thank you, young lady. We'll see y'all.
Have a good
Yeah.
evening.
I got to get to home group. I'm gonna see a little guy. I don't really want to see him, but I'm gonna. So,
Right, Chris, thank you.
I love
Thank
y'all.
you,
I'll see
Chris.
you
Thanks
soon.
again,
you.
Chris.
God bless you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Lenora and John.